Hi children, in this video we are going to discuss about frog's nervous system. Frog nervous system consists of central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, autonomic nervous system. First we'll start with central nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Brain location, cranial cavity. Imagine this is a frog's dorsal surface, right? This is frog's dorsal surface. In the dorsal surface, the head region, if we dissect the head region, we can able to see this kind of view. Imagine this is a dorsal surface. If we dissect the frog like this, so the view of brain looks like this. Imagine this is a frog's ventral surface. Frog's ventral surface. So if we dissect like this, we can able to see the frog's brain like this. This is actually a cavity present inside the brain. These are the three diagrams we are going to explain through this video. First, we'll start with the brain. Location, cranial cavity. Brain is covered by two meninges. The protective coverage is called as meninges, pia mater and dura mater. Brain is covered by two covers. They are pia mater and dura mater. What is the purpose of pia mater and dura mater? They are shock absorbing coverage. Right? First, we'll start with pia mater. Pia mater, it is actually a thin pigmented region, vascular connective tissue membrane. Take a note. Vascular connective tissue membrane which is closely attaches with the brain. Brain oda close attach aayirukkudiya membrane pia mater. Outside this membrane, this is a pia mater. Imagine this is a pia mater. Outside this membrane, a tough fibrous membrane will be there, which is interior to the cranial cavity. This is a cranial cavity. Imagine this is a cranial cavity. Interior to the cranial cavity, a tough membrane will be there. That is called it as dura mater. Okay. A membrane which is closely applied with the brain is pia mater. A membrane which is closely attached with the cranial cavity is a dura mater. In between the pia mater and dura mater, a space will be there. That space is called it as subdural. That subdural space is filled with the help of the cerebrospinal fluid. Imagine this is a pia mater. This is a dura mater. This is cranial cavity. In between the pia mater and dura mater, a space will be there. That space is called it as subdural space. That subdural space is filled with the help of the cerebrospinal fluid. Got it? Brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Forebrain consists of olfactory lobe, cerebral hemisphere and diencephalon. Olfactory lobe, cerebral hemisphere and diencephalon. Midbrain consists of optic lobe. Hindbrain consists of cerebellum and medulla oblongata. We'll start with forebrain. Forebrain is actually an anterior part, largest part of the brain. It consists of olfactory lobe, cerebral hemisphere, then diencephalon. We'll start with olfactory lobe. This region is called as olfactory lobe. It is actually a paired one. It is anterior part. Anteriorly, olfactory lobes are free. See the picture? Anteriorly, the olfactory lobes are free, but posteriorly, they are fused. Anteriorly free, posteriorly they are fused. Each lobe having a cavity. See the cavities in the brain. Each lobe having a cavity, that is called it as rhinocele. This cavity, which is shaded with the help of the blue color, is a rhinocele. What is the function of olfactory lobe? It is actually a sense of smell, but in the frog, the olfactory lobe is poorly developed. In frog, cerebral hemisphere. Cerebral hemispheres are paired one, otherwise named as telencephalon. They are long, oval, smooth in structure, narrow in front. Actually, narrow in front. Front la narrow. Broad posteriorly. Posteriorly, broad in nature. It possesses lateral ventricle. See, lateral ventricle. Pink color shaded part is called it as lateral ventricle. They are called it as paracel. Lateral ventricle is named as paracel. Posteriorly, ventricles are fused. See, posteriorly, the ventricles are fused. Next, diencephalon. Diencephalon is unpaired. Spherical, depressed region present behind the cerebral hemisphere. See the picture? This is the cerebral hemisphere. This depressed region, smallest region, is called it as diencephalon. It possesses third ventricle. The third ventricle is named as diocele. Right? Diocele is formed by hypothalamus. See, diocele is formed by, this is actually a hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is connected to the pituitary gland through a connective region called infundibulum. See, this is a hypothalamus. This part is called it as hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is connected to the pituitary gland through a connective bridge called infundibulum. Got it? Next, we'll start with midbrain. Midbrain is actually a broadest part. Midbrain is the broadest part. Narrow canal inside it is named as iter or aqueduct sylvius. This region, the narrow region, green color, this narrow region, aqueduct sylvius or iter, right? The narrow canal present inside the midbrain is called it as iter or aqueduct of sylvius. It actually connects the third ventricle diocele to the fourth ventricle metacele. See, this is a metacele. This is a diocele. Diocele and metacele is connected by a aqueduct sylvius or iter. Right? Midbrain is having two optic lobes. Two optic lobes. The optic lobes are filled with the help of the optocele. It acts as a coordination center between the forebrain and hindbrain. Next, we'll see hindbrain. Hindbrain consists of cerebellum, which is poorly developed, controls the muscular coordination. This poorly developed, very depressed region is called it as cerebellum. Next, medulla oblongata. Small conical last region is called it as medulla oblongata. It is continuous with spinal cord. Medulla oblongata is continuous with the spinal cord through a structure called foramen of magnum. It is actually a foramen of magnum. Medulla oblongata descends down through the foramen of magnum and it forms spinal cord. Spinal cord is protected by vertebral column. Thus, medulla oblongata has fourth ventricle. Medulla oblongata has fourth ventricle. It is otherwise named as metaphyseal. What is the function of medulla oblongata? It has lot of relay centers inside it. Overall, what is the function of hindbrain? It controls the involuntary function. It regulates the involuntary function. Like it regulates heartbeat rate. It regulates metabolism of the body. It regulates respiration. In nervous system, we completely discussed about central nervous system. Now peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves are 10 pairs. Spinal nerves also 10 pairs. Cranial nerves rising from the brain. Spinal nerves rising from the spinal cord. Autonomic nervous system formed by sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. What is the function of autonomic nervous system? It controls the involuntary visceral function. Internal organ regulatory function is operated by autonomic nervous system. I hope you can understand the content. Thank you, children.